Hey everyone, welcome back to my workbench. Nothing too exciting and new tonight. Just doing some finishing building up some sub-assemblies for the uh, IntelliVision True 16 controllers. I'm probably gonna get 4 of them out this weekend, so actually getting so this weekend I'm gonna have probably 4 of these guys going out, which is good, and I can get through some of my other backlog. Been building up a bunch of these little sub-assemblies, so I've built up a bunch of joysticks, which is this octopus here. That's the actual guts of it. It's 16 directions, and then we have this is the other big chunk of it. This is the actual internally is the wiring harness here. It's a breakout board for the DB9 I use, and this is for the keypad. And then once I'm done putting this one together, start putting a bunch of diodes in for the buttons. Is IntelliVision basically everything except for the cardinal points of the joystick itself. I'm just tinning these wires here. Except the joystick itself, yeah, at least 2 contacts going to it and then going to a ground. So all 9 pins are actually used on the DB9 connector. 7 of them are used for the keypad. Uses 3 columns, 4 rows, and then that gets shared with the joystick itself. Uses the joystick uses 5 lines, 4 for the cardinal points, and then 1 for that second deck, which gets you like the position 2, they call it. 2, 5, no, it's weird. I'll show you when I do a test tomorrow. Like before I ship these out, to test every one. And then the 8th wire is used for the second deck, and then the 9th wire is ground, which is actually comes in pin 5, which is actually really typical for RS. If you ever do RS-232 communications, that is what you have. Let's look at the colors here. I just have a copy of KeyCAD open in the background. Colors. I like using this rainbow IDC cable. It makes it a lot easier to figure out what the heck am I trying to solder. Too many times I open something up and it's just a bunch of gray wire. I mean, I own gray wire. It's just really hard to trace stuff out. Okay, it's a gray wire here. I was feeling contemplative the other day at work. I'm thinking, man, I've been working a long time. Since I was 16, actually. So that's 36 years ago. A long time. 1990. I was working and I was in high school. And I don't know, I was doing kind of a menial task. And like someday I do want to retire, and I don't feel like waiting until I'm like 67 and a half or something like that. I'm 52 now, so I'm thinking of a 10-year plan and retire at 62. So it's 10 more years of having to work for somebody else. So that's my goal there. As long as I can figure out the health insurance when I get there, it's like the only really stumbling block. And, oh yeah, the other day is well, my father, he worked for for a roofing company for years as a office manager. Then the company changed ownership, so he tried to go out on his own, and didn't end very well, unfortunately. It ended up in bankruptcy court, which is why my company my personal company is an LLC. So if everything goes badly, just Cyberfreak Enterprises LLC goes up. I don't really have any personal money tied into this. It's weird owning your own business, by the way. Like, you have to have like a business checking account legally to, like, you're not supposed to use a personal bank account for your finances. So I had to get a business checking account and a business also have a couple business credit cards now. Yeah, everything goes on business credit cards, and yeah, but having to do all the accounting and everything. But luckily, I'm still what's known as a disregarded entity, which always sounds kind of funny to me. But so now I'm going to put together the 3 push buttons. So on the IntelliVision, the top 2 are actually the same buttons, called number 1. The left one's number 2, the right one's number 3. And let's see. Say what's all this then? I will loosen all these since I'm here. I'll need all of them. Online connections, actually. Yeah, he just didn't. I don't know why he didn't put it into a LLC or something like that. I'm sure it existed back in the 80s. I mean, it's not like a newfangled thing. There's massive corporations that are LLCs. So that's why I've always been hesitant to go heck with it and just like stomp out on my own, like make controllers all day long or go into consulting work. It's just, I've got a family and everything, so it's really hard to sleep at night knowing that making controllers is all between me and bankruptcy. So that's not good. So yeah, a lot of people tell me I should go out on my own. It's like, oh, you don't know my childhood, man. It's hard to wrap your head around that, and seeing how life changed. Because he made like really good money for the time in the 80s. I'm not sure. I mean, I was just a kid then, so I don't know exactly how much. But I know, like, every time we went to, like, Kmart or something like that, we can get a toy. It was, like, every time. So, let's look at here. Buttons here. Okay. 6 and 8 is green. Yeah, it was a big change in the kid's life. 6, 8. Orange is 7 and 8. So if you've 6 and 7. So if you've ever, I mean, if you've had money and then you suddenly don't have any, or a lot less money, it's a big thing, you know? And it's scary, especially when you're a kid. It's like, what do we do now? We're gonna have money to eat and stuff like that. We always had money to eat, but it's still, it was scary. It's like the only time I ever saw like my parents ever fight, I think, was over that small business. So personally, I think whoever sold it to them cooked the books a little bit and gave to me. Look at this. A better ongoing firm than it was. But I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I was a kid and he's been gone years now. Was it 4 years? 5 years? It's been a while since he passed away. Well, I'm not a huge fan of the word passed away. It's like he died. Okay? Can't we just keep it simple sometimes? But yeah. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I've never. I mean, I'm sure I could do it. I mean, if I had to do like control room and like consulting work for LabVIEW programming, yeah, I could do that. But maybe that's a little side gig after I retire. It's like, what job am I on now? Same on 3, 6, 8. It certainly spans all across. See, so I work for Andy, and I work for Daylight Electronics, not the evil cyborgs. Technically they're cyborgs. No, they're not even cyborgs because it's a Dalek. Dalek's more like a, I don't know what you call it. It's like a tank. It's like Krang maybe. It's a living being inside of a armored shell. It's more like a tank with a mutant inside. Not really a cyborg. Anyway, what the heck was I talking about? It's going out on my own and doing this. It's like, I don't know. It's a little scary. Just. Oh, yeah. What jobs I've had? So I had Hey Mandy, Dayluck, a very brief stint at a place called Instrument Repair. I'm going to put that one on my resume. They've been gone for years. Fixed telephone line and equipment. That was as boring as you think it is. Back when playing over the publicly switched telephone service was like really a thing. Not so much anymore. It's all over IP now. And NPC products up in Skokie and Niles. Straddles the two towns. And then Gray Hill. I was there almost 10 years. Make all sorts of human interface stuff like optical encoders and joysticks and Hall effects stuff, keypads, dip switches. I was there almost 10 years. Look for a nice place not too far from my house now. Well, they were called KBH at the time, but they're new owners now. And, they did fiber optic gyroscopes, which are pretty cool, actually. And then right off there, and went to Medtronics over in Willowbrook. Willie's in Illinois. Near Chicago or Chicago suburbs, and then they had layoffs there. So, now I'm at Maury. They make all sorts of contract manufacturer, and they make a bunch of telematics stuff, which is more or less tracking equipment and giving data back to the customer. A bunch of other stuff too that you don't really want to talk about it because there's all sorts of NDAs about it, so you can't say what the heck it is. But sometimes, if you've been working for many years, in this case 36 years, it's like, any job is fine. It's just like working for somebody else for so long can get a little tedious. Hold on just a second. I think the wife is stirring. Yeah, so the wife was stirring, even though I didn't really hear her. It must be in my head. Yeah. Life is always interesting, you know. So after every time on vacation or like between jobs, and sometimes I'm like, man, I wouldn't really mind not having to go to the office every day. Um, oh well. Let's see. Just it's not really also a trade-off between time and money. So looking at the hopefully Social Security still exists. If you take retirement early, or you take it at the full, or you take it at the, you can go up to 70, I think. And it's like, yeah, you get more money per month, but how long it takes you to get to recoup that money can be quite a while. And it all depends how long you think you're going to live, as creepy as that sounds. Yeah, weird stuff you gotta think about as you get older. Oh, that's what I forgot to mention. My wife actually had surgery this week. So, got a sleeve for her stomach. Just separate. He's been trying to lose weight for a while, many years, ever since her son was born. It's very hard to keep the weight off. Some things are just kind of short-term solutions, and sometimes need a permanent solution. So she wants a permanent route. Now she eats a little tiny meal, and it's full. Crazy. First few days, just pure liquid. It's quite painful, even though it's worse. I can never pronounce that friggin' word. I want to use the rods. There's some words I just can't pronounce. And even though it's just the incisions are small, they have to inflate you with carbon dioxide apparently, and, so they get room to work. And that's really the most painful part. So they use carbon dioxide because it'll be absorbed back in your bloodstream and you'll just breathe it out. I'm sure this is not the most exciting video on earth, but you get to hear about my life. But after these controllers, I'm gonna switch over to, I got a bunch of Atari to build up. The orders keep coming in, which is nice. Thank you. Yeah, after this, I have a bunch of dual stick Ataris and what else? A lot of dual stick Ataris, and I just got an order for a couple Andes. That's the analog digital. So I'm gonna use up my stock of pre-built parts for that. Knock those out, and then I think I only have 2 marathon controllers in the queue right now. And then build up more parts for the Atari again. I think I have enough parts for the IntelliVision last month. That's one of the reasons I was what color? Just separate. File 67. Yeah, I wanted to spend a little time and get a bunch of parts built up for these televisions so I can knock these out a little quicker. I was thinking about I don't get it's just so much stuff happens in life. It'd be nice to do this full time sometimes. Instead of nights and some weekends. think that's all I had built up so far, please. Okay. This one here, but no. Okay, good. Turn that off a second. And then make up the actual the final parts of the harness for this thing. I need a bunch of black wire. So one color you use a lot of. So one of these is for a purist, so it only has one set of buttons. So you actually have to jumper through all the all 4 of the buttons. Need ground wire. Everything on the IntelliVision is a active low, is the proper term. So when it gets pulled on the ground, that means it's on. So they call that active low. And do I have the bin of little connectors? These are the bigger ones. These need to get out of the way. You go over there. Here we have, I know we got a spare bit of them here somewhere. Where the heck they went off to? Oh. Oh. Some reason, no. You know I had extras over here. Use those up first. Where did they go off to? What the heck, man? There. So, one of the next controllers, after I get through these, I think I've got, what, 90 controllers in the queue right now. I'm going to work on a Sega Genesis controller and a Atari 7800 controller, both of which are pretty straightforward. It was not intentional, but some of the people who buy my controllers are buy it for accessibility issues, arthritis and the like. And it's like, well, that's kind of funny. It's like, how the heck did that happen? But with like all the full-size like controls compared to the tiny little controls you have for a lot of systems, I can see it now. And ironically, it was never intentional, but my older brother Ron actually makes accessibility controllers for like Xbox and things like that. So he's got an Etsy page with the stuff on there. So he makes accessibility controllers. I think it's audio controllers, controls for himself. Yeah, the accessibility is just like a side effect of the size of the controls, which I did not expect that. But here we are. I've gotten quite a bit of compliments on how much easier it is to use these controllers than the original controllers for a lot of systems. Because I know one of the reasons I want to make a Sega Genesis controller, or which you could also use on the Master System, is the Master System controller is tiny and little sharp edges and not the most comfortable thing to play. So the tool you hear is a automatic crimping tool. Very handy, and saves my hands a bit because trying to hand crimp all this stuff is just not great. I'll show you the difference, because this is just seeing automatic crimper, electric crimper, and hand crimping. So these are the fast on connectors I use for my controllers. Let's twist those together. So if I do it on the electric one, that's this guy here. You just put it in the little spring-loaded jaws. You put the wire in there. Make sure you don't go too far, but far enough. Pull the button down, and it crimps. So say you wanted to hand crimp it. I'll show you this guy here. This is actually a decent crimper, but if you have hands that have been working for decades, having to do that a couple hundred times will absolutely murder your hands. So I actually finally bit the bullet, so to speak, and actually finally bought an electric crimper, which saves a lot of time. So I know this is a green. Green is the top row. That's S1 they call it. So this one I actually have to jump it over so it goes to the since it's the purest layout, you want button 1 to be top, which means I need a piece of wire. Crazy long. Yeesh. This is a great stripper here. This is an ST500 wire stripper. It's got the cool markings there for what gauge you want, and then adjustable depth. I mean, there's like almost infinite depth here. This mark here is my typical strip length for working on the stuff. Don't really have the space for a full automatic strip. I mean, I have this guy, which does a decent job, but you have to adjust it a bit depending on the insulation of your wire. So I'm not really gone down that road. That the ST500's good enough for most of my work. And of course, I have plenty of traditional wire strippers as well. Heck, you give me a good pair of diagonal cutters, I can strip your wire too. Not that hard. Again, I'd rather use this electric tool. Let's put it in there. Let's put it right in. So, kind of an interesting thing, if you've never used a crimper, it actually has two spots where it's crimping. And this spot here is crimping where the wire gets pinched in, and this spot here actually crimps on the string relief here. So when it crimps, if you crimp properly, it'll, if you pull on the wire, see that wasn't a good crimp there. I knew that was a bad crimp just looking at it. If you have a bad crimp, it'll come out. If you have a good crimp, how it's supposed to work is the when you pull on a wire, it'll be pulling on the insulated section, not the much better. It's only 22 gauge wire. I'm not going to pull all that hard. But that's on there now. Excellent. Yeah, if you pull on it, you're actually pulling on a different part of the crimp. But this, how it is, there's actually like two pieces of metal that curl in and grab onto the wire. Because this is a purist, I don't have to worry about jumpering this one over. So let's go into the purist in a second. And this wire I feel like I was saying, it's weird knowing that people use your controllers just because it's better for people with limited dexterity or just their hands are just old. Which this guy here. So that is an interesting side effect which I didn't expect. Excellent. That means this harness is done. Just going to need to wire this in. Goes with this. So that is this guy right over here. Oh, in case you're wondering what's going on in that corner, that's just my retro Pi. I just have an arcade game loaded up and it's just playing through a game. It is almost midnight, so I am going to probably call the night and then do some assembly work tomorrow. Y'all. I'm from Chicago. I don't say y'all. You can see the final assembly on 3 controllers, and I'll do the tests on them. And yeah, knock on wood, I'll get 4 controllers out this weekend, and then clears me up for getting back to Atari next week. So look forward to that. Everyone, thank you for watching. Have a great night.